everyone, welcome back to Spill the Crafts. Since Dollar Tree is stocking their stores with all these Valentine's Day items, I wanted to go ahead and give you guys 4 easy yet affordable Valentine's Day DIY. If you guys like these kind of videos, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way you guys don't miss out on any future videos like this one. Okay, that being said, let's get started into our first DIY. Alright, so for this first DIY, it's super simple, super quick. Also really pretty. So the first things you're going to need is some grapevine hearts from Dollar Tree, some beads, and also some yarn. You can also use twine from Dollar Tree, and I know for sure Dollar Tree sells beads, just not as large as these ones. I purchased mine over at Hobby Lobby. You're going to go ahead and cut off about, 2 to 3 feet of that yarn. Take your grapevine heart and loop the yarn around that heart. So next what I did is I went ahead and I spray painted my beads. Since they were multicolored, I wanted them to look more uniformed. So I grabbed this spray paint from Rust-Oleum in French Cream, and I just gave them about 1 coat on each side. Now that my beads are nice and dry, I decided to go ahead and take some sandpaper and just lightly sand them down to give them more of a weathered look. For the tassels, all I did was I grabbed my phone and I just wrapped it around about 10 to 12 times. To secure everything together, all you're going to want to do is take a smaller piece of yarn and you're just going to tie it to the end of your bundle of yarn that you just made. Next, you're going to take another piece of yarn and you're going to go ahead and wrap that around the top of your tassel. Go ahead and cut off the bottom of the tassel. To make the tassels all nice and fluffy, all you're going to want to do is take a brush or some sort of comb. I'm using a dog's comb to brush out the yarn. What you want to do is take that extra piece that's attached to your garland and just tie it through your tassel. Now that the tassel is nicely secured to our garland, go ahead and take your scissors and cut the bottom to even them out. Okay, you could totally end it like this and it looked just as beautiful, but I decided to give it a little bit of that Valentine's flair. I went ahead and I grabbed some red yarn and I'm just going to wrap it around my tassel, and then I'm going to go ahead and create like a little bow for the other end of my garland. Again, this part is totally optional, but I just wanted something just a little bit more extra, so I went ahead and grabbed this twine that I purchased at Dollar Tree, and I again just wrapped it around that tassel, and I created another little bow at the other end. All right, you guys, there we have it, a beautiful yet easy Valentine's Day garland. If y'all thought that first DIY was super easy to make, then the second one is just as simple and just as beautiful. For the second DIY, we're gonna go ahead and make those stacked decorative books. And instead of actual books, we're gonna make faux books using the Dollar Tree wooden crates. So all I did is start off by removing the sticker on the bottom of that crate. Then I'm taking that Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white, and I'm gonna give the box at least one coat of paint and let it dry. Now that everything is nice and dry, I'm going to go ahead and take another brush, and then I'm also going to take this Waverly wax in the antique color and a paper towel, and then I'm going to go ahead and dry brush on that antique wax. Once the wax is nice and dry, I went ahead and I grabbed a pencil and I started writing my saying on my books. My handwriting isn't the nicest and I don't have a Cricut, unfortunately, but I did my best and I wrote the PS I love you, and then after I finished the lettering the way I wanted it, I went over it with a black marker. Once I was done writing my saying on my box, I did decide to go ahead and lightly sand down the letters to give my books that worn look. For the heart on the bottom of my book, I went ahead and I first painted it with the light pink, but I didn't really like the way that was turning out, so then I took some red acrylic paint and I painted the heart red. Then I'm going to take these beautiful ribbon that I found at Dollar Tree this year, and I'm going to start with the burlap ribbon, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it down horizontally first on the box with my hot glue gun. Then I'm going to take the red checkered ribbon and I'm going to glue that down on top of the burlap ribbon. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take my burlap ribbon again, and I'm going to glue it down, this time vertically, kind of trying to make like a plus sign or an X on top of my box. And I'm going to glue that down, and then I'm also going to do the same thing with the red checkered ribbon. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take the heart ribbon, and I'm going to make a bow out of that. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down onto my books. And then I was like, well, I wanted a little something extra, and I had this white twine that I've also purchased at Dollar Tree, and I made 2 tiny bows with those twine, and I just glued them right on top of the heart ribbon. You guys, I think this came out so cute, and I just love it, and it gives me total farmhouse vibes, and I just love how simple this project was. You can stick this on a shelf or in your tier tray and just give it a subtle Valentine's Day touch. You guys, project number 3 is so simple to do. It's basically a facelift for the sign. The sign is cute as is, but if you want a more neutral farmhouse look, then this project is for you. We're going to start off with using these wooden signs that I also got at Dollar Tree. First, you want to go ahead and remove the bow on the top and save it for a different project or use it for one of the projects that we made today. Then you're going to take some sandpaper. I'm using the 220 grit sandpaper, and I'm just sanding down the glitter. Once I've sanded down all of the glitter from my sign, I'm going to go ahead and take my Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white, and I'm going to give the sign about 2 coats of paint, front and back. Okay, now that my sign is nice and dry, I wanted to go ahead and give my sign a more distressed look. So I went ahead and I grabbed some sandpaper and I sanded down the edges of my sign. But I still wanted to give it more of a weathered look. So I took a damp cloth and I just wiped some of the paint off of my sign. Now I got the sign all nice and distressed. I'm going to go ahead and take some of this Waverly wax and antique, and I'm just going to dry brush the sign. Once I completely dry brush the sign, I'm going to go back over with that damp cloth, and I'm just going to rub some of the wax away. Okay, so the next thing what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and pick out your saying. I decided to go ahead and put XO and XO, and then I took one of those wooden hearts that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to stick it into one of my O's. Now, if you have a Cricut, then that would be great to use, but I wanted my sign to be more like worn and weathered, so I went ahead and freehanded it. Okay, so now that I've written out my saying, I went ahead and took this Waverly chalk paint and ink, and I'm gonna color in my letters. And then after I color in my letters, I wanted my letters to look weathered as well. Then I took that damp cloth and I just went over the letters with that damp cloth. Okay, so at this point, this is completely optional, but I wanted to use some decorative rope that I had on hand, but the hole in the sign was way too small, so I took my drill bit and I just drilled a hole to be just a little bit bigger so I can fit that decorative rope. To finish off my sign, all I'm going to do is take the rope and I'm just going to feed it through the hole, loop it around, tie it, and then I'm going to fray the ends just slightly to give it more of that nautical look. And then I decided to go ahead and make a bow to kind of finish off the look of my sign. You guys, This sign came out so cute. This was inspired by an Etsy shop that I came across, and they were selling their sign for about $40. And the size was equivalent to their size. I made mine for, I don't know, like $2-3, and they were selling it for $40. And I think it came out so cute. What do you guys think? Okay, so for our last and final DIY, this was probably my favorite DIY, and it just came out so stinking cute. So what you're gonna need is a mason jar. Don't need to use a mason jar. You can use a cup or even just fill the sock up with rocks or rice. I'm using a mason jar, and I'm gonna take this sock that I just had laying around the house. I know that Dollar Tree sells a bunch of those high knee socks, and I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap my mason jar in that sock. Then I'm gonna take my other sock that I purchased at Dollar Tree. They had a bunch of like really cute design ones, and this one was kind of reminded me of my daughter. She likes those like colorful colors and panda bears and unicorns, so I kind of was making this for her. And then what you're going to want to do is cut your second sock in half. Then you're going to open it up, and then you're going to cut it again into more of like a triangle shape. This is going to be the hat of your gnome. Then you're going to take the bottom of the sock where the elastic is and your hot glue, and you're just going to glue down, wrapping the sock around that jar. Okay, so once you get to that point where the two socks meet, you're going to take some more glue, and you're just going to glue it down. And then you're going to go ahead and pinch those two ends together. Now I'm going to take some of this filler that I got from like an old pillow. You can definitely use like, I don't know, toilet paper or cotton balls or paper towels. Any of that stuff will work. But I had this old pillow and the stuffing, so I'm using that. And you're going to go ahead and stuff the hat, and then just take some glue and then pinch it together. And you're just going to continue that process until you get that desired gnome hat look. Now at the end, all I'm going to do here is just pinch the tips together, creating that pointy kind of Santa Claus hat or gnome hat. And I wanted my hat to lean over to the side, so I decided to go ahead and glue it down. Then I'm going to take these beads that I used for my first DIY. Again, I got these at Hobby Lobby. I don't remember how much they were. I don't think there was more than like $2 or $3, and you get a pack of like 80. Then I'm going to take this mop head that I purchased over at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut about 6 to 8 strands. Once I've gotten all my strands, I'm just going to tie them together with the twine. Then you're going to take those bundles that you just made with the mop head and you're going to glue it as close to the gnome's nose as possible. This is going to be the little pigtails for our little gnome girl. Now, what I want to do is just grab another piece of twine and I'm just going to tie off her little pigtails. You guys can totally stop there, but I wanted shoes for my little gnome, so I'm going to take these Dollar Tree shoes. You can find these over in the party supply aisle, and I think they come in blue and pink. But it doesn't really matter what color they are because you're going to end up covering them anyways. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take a piece of your sock that you covered the body with, trace the sole of the shoe, then you're going to cut those two soles out. Then you're going to cut another piece off your sock. And with that piece, you're going to go ahead and wrap it around your shoe, making sure that it lines up with the sole, or not the sole, but the outline of the shoe. And you're going to go ahead and just cut off the excess cloth. Okay, then you're going to take a little dab of glue and you're going to put a little bit on the laces of the shoe, push it down, then pinch those two ends together, putting another dab of glue, securing those two ends together. Then with the excess cloth, you're just going to tuck it into the shoe. To better secure it, I went ahead and put some hot glue inside. and I just tucked that back in. I went ahead and put some rice on my shoe, in my shoe, and then I took those soles that we cut out and I'm just gluing that in to secure the rice in. The rice will help the gnome stand a lot better. To give my shoe a more finished and complete look, I'm taking this ribbon that I purchased over at Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna wrap it around the shoe.
This is for you.
And to just finish off my shoe, I'm just taking these buttons. You can find these buttons over at Dollar Tree in the front. And I'm just gonna glue that down. And there you go. How cute did these little shoes turn out? I just love it. Then I'm gonna take my little gnome girl and I'm just gonna hot glue on the shoes. Then I took one of those wooden hearts from Dollar Tree and I just glued it on the top of her little hat. And y'all can totally stop there, but I wanted my gnome to have arms. So I took that sock that we made the hat out of. And now I'm just cutting the piece into a rectangle and rolling it up and gluing it. This will be the arms of our little gnome girl. And then with the little pink part, kind of where your toes are, I'm going to contrast the colors and give her a little mittens. I'm going to take that little piece and I'm just going to wrap it around the end of her arm. Taking some twine, I'm just gonna tie off her hand and her arm, and then I'm gonna glue her little arm down to her side, tucking it into the hat. And just to give her a little sass, I went ahead and I glued down her arms or her hand on her little hip to kind of give her a little attitude. And there you have it, our super cute mason jar gnome. I just love how this turned out. Which one of these DIYs did you guys love the most? Go ahead and leave me a comment down below. And if you guys like these kind of videos, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.